You don't see any black men doing a damn thing except in the background the spectators are pushing the cart. They got that guy with the big lip disc in who's some kind of preacher stand in. Yeah, they got that, but the mama runs things, the aunt runs things. His bodyguards are actually his keepers who tell him and nag him about what to do and not to do. And he runs around in some tights playing vigilante. Now, Killmonger, meanwhile, his daddy was the brother of the past king. And what was he doing? They listed him as being in some projects, public housing on the West Coast, and he's trying to teach these boys how to be men. So he gets killed because he wants to take the technology that Uganda has, Wakanda has, whatever the hell the name is, and use it to subdue Africa and take over the whole world and impose peace. So he goes through MIT. He graduates at 19. He's a rocket scientist. He becomes a SEAL. He's so badass they give him the nickname Killmonger. He plans, plots, and gets his head together for revolution. He's supposed to be the bad guy, and they have him talking what Frederick Douglass said, Marcus Garvey said, Du Bois said, Malcolm X said, a little of what Martin said, and what H. Rap Brown said, and they make him the villain. And they got all these little black kids and black women. Hey, they're cheering for him to be put down. You know.
Mama gone, daddy gone, son gone. Shuri's off on her own. Like the legacy's over with. So it would be weird to have T'Challa get up, take his kid to Haiti, and tell him, "Hey, you know what? Basically, fuck Wakanda. Don't even worry about them. Go do your own thing." I don't see. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the single unwed mother thing is what really got me, man. And then Shuri don't give me she's a queen vibes. You know what I'm saying? Shuri give me vibes like, you know, she that cool, she your sister, but you know, she might not be straight. You know, she might have a queen. Shuri don't give me the vibes she gonna get no. It ain't gonna be no kings, bro. You know what I'm saying? I heard that they said that they was kind of they was talking about making her and Namor like love interests.
It wouldn't have worked. The chemistry was terrible. That wouldn't have worked. That wouldn't have fooled nobody.
Was some Disney.
That's why they deleted
Disney
the scenes,
bullshit.
man. Ain't no way that would have been believable.
Black Panther. Disney and ABC badly needed some money. Why? They jacked up some white folk in this thing, so you want to be a millionaire. So the people that felt aggrieved sued them for about $7-8 million. Well, they won, and ABC and Disney kept appealing, and finally they got through the federal system. Went up to the 9-member.
What's he talking about right here?
Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit. It's an interesting opinion.
He's talking about they messed up the money at Marvel and they needed a W, so they made this Black Panther
for the
black audience. They knew they was gonna make a shit ton of money.
No, I was thinking they screwed up the money with the old girl, because if you really think about it, right, like they saying Bob Iger's back as the head guy at Disney because of the last guy screwed up so bad with Scarlett Johansson and dropped the ball so hard. You know, at least that's what the internet rumors are. So I'm wondering if that's what he's inferring. They lost all that money.
They had to drop 20 mil on her, right, or something like that.
Yeah, it was an obscene amount.
Yeah,
it was like 20 mil, I think.
And that is all parties are expected to deal with each other. Well, taking the language, just straight up and be honest, in good faith. Okay. Yeah. They said, we'll fix that. So they raised the judgment from the requested $7-8 million to $580 million. That was in 2011. And the United States Supreme Court refused to hear it, so it was affirmed. So there's no appeal. So the plaintiffs hold liens against all ABC property in the country and all Disney property. And most of the rides at Disney World down in Florida, and a lot of them at Disneyland, had everything that came out of it other than operational expenses going through to the plaintiffs, so they couldn't pay the interest, and the judgment had risen over $1 billion some. So Hollywood has very little cash. They do a lot of reciprocity and exchanges and all of this other stuff. So they came up with the Black Panther movie. My sources tell me they were discussing it in the hallways about predictably how they could get black folk to pay a lot of money. Now, what did they do?
All right. Is he one of these guys that feel like everything's an agenda? Or do you
I don't think so, man. I think he made a lot of like valid points, bro.
I don't know, man. That's not like a big ass stretch. I don't think no niggas in the hallways thinking about like, hey, the absolute answer to all their money woes is the Black Panther. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, they know that they can make a shit ton of money off of us, and we are so gullible that we'll go for that type of shit,
they
bro.
Dropped the ball like they dropped the ball like a motherfucker off that first movie, man. They ain't have no toys. They ain't really do no marketing. They ain't do none of that shit for that first movie, bro. They literally dropped that shit off like, hopefully this shit do well. I bet money they didn't expect. Like, oh shit, niggas actually coming to see this shit. Niggas is coming up dressed in garbs, African garbs. You know what I'm saying? Treating this shit like a holiday.
They do what all these big companies do in terms of black folks, and they always disrespect the culture and the things that really matter to us. The things that matter to us. I think when we all heard the Black Panther was being made, it became a movement overnight for us in the black community and you know the international black community as well. I think Disney is the only one that looked in and didn't see what was happening. Because like Fresh said, you can't bring out the movie made $1 billion and they did not have a toy line till 6 months later. Like that is insane. So for me, I don't think where Joe Brown's getting it wrong. I think he's like, I don't know, he's zoomed in way too close. I don't know what he zoomed in on. He could be right, but I don't think he's right. You know what I mean?
I don't know. He's saying he got sources and shit.
Yeah, good old sources.
I'm about to say, like, come on, fam.
You know about those sources.
Right.
But, you know.
When my show was with Paramount. Now, the formula is interesting. But let's take that movie. The worst thing in the movie was that last battle between the men and the women of the tribe trying to kill each other. The women committed treason by propping up the old Panther that Killmonger had defeated. Killmonger didn't have any super drug in him to give him super strength. He beat the Panther's ass fair and square, threw him off in the water. The guy survived. Well, the babes committed treason against the rules of the culture, and they go to help it. Now, who did they go to enlist in their effort to overthrow the now rightful King Killmonger? They go to get some black folk who live where it snows all the time in cavemen, and this is supposed to be in Africa. Where? Mount Kilimanjaro on the other side.
Man, what the fuck?
he losing me.
Yeah, that was a little stretch right there.
This man holding a yoga class. Right.
That's cap right there, bro.
Yeah, all right.
His whole argument it'll mean shit now, man. After that, man.
Yeah, he might have lost on this one, Fresh.
I mean, I think he made some valid points. Like if you keep listening, like he rounded out and it's some solid shit. Like okay, all right, so he got a little bit of conspiracy theory shit that's like too far out there, but some of the shit he's saying it's on the point.
All right, man. Because
Listen, I recognize the black struggle, the black plight as much as anybody else does, but a lot of this shit going on, at least in this current times, is just crazy, man. And one hand, people telling you a black Israelite, the next man telling you the next person is telling you this and that, and over there is happening over this, and this is why, because you black, and it's like you the original Jewish person. Like, man, I don't. Your head is spinning right now, bro, with all of the things you are as a quote unquote black person. I don't appreciate the. I'm gonna call them the stretches that Joe's making here. I really don't, because I think you're belittling a lot of things when you start just saying, "Oh, it's a conspiracy. Oh, they're out to get you. Oh, we did it for this."
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to finish it, but right there and that little clip we just watched, I don't know, man.
I don't know, man. But he got sources.
He got sources. I got sources too. Okay. You know what I'm saying? I will call up one of my black Israelite homies. And I will give all kinds of sources. Bible quotes, scriptures, everything.
They'll really break down the Black Panther for you, huh?
Right.
I mean, it's a good movie. It's flawed, but I don't want to go too far down the well. Like, whoa, where you going, Joe Brown? Come back.
It's too late, man. He's gone, man.
We looking for kinship so bad, man. You know, and it hurts sometimes, like too, like, you know, other groups like, man, this shit ain't real. What the fuck wrong with y'all black motherfuckers? Y'all ain't kings, y'all ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And you know, you trying to find who the fuck you are, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I don't think no other group really understands that. You know what I'm saying? That shit is, you know, it's like those kids that grow up in like foster care or don't know they dad, and you know, you just want to know who the fuck you are. You're trying to figure out, you know, where you come from.
See, being totally honest, you got to think though, like, what other group in this modern era has literally majority of their people have the wall of slavery that blocks their origins of who they are? You know what I mean? Like, if you do your 23andMe, majority of us, well, actually, they'll find a genealogy to wherever your people came from down south, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? Because majority of us, we all have slave last names. Our ancestors took the master's last name, and we've been wearing it proudly since. You know what I mean? But like, it's literally a wall of slavery. So we as a people, we're probably equated to like a teenager. You know what I'm saying? And like age, where it's like we're still trying to find who we are as identity as a people. Because you look, every decade is some movement that happened in our people that we signify with. You know what I mean? Whether it's the Black Power movement, whether it's the what happened with the chemical warfare, what happened with the identity thing about we Africans. You know what I'm saying? The Black Power, not the Black Power, the you know, diaspora, Pan-Africanism. You know what I'm saying? It's different things that we are reaching out for, you know, to get money thing, whatever. Where we're trying to find ourselves within that. And we're trying to we're making our culture on the fly. Where a lot of other cultures, they literally have cultures and things that have been in their culture 300-400 years, you know what I'm saying? Where they can go back to the Alps or something, you know what I'm saying, about they 6th generation grandmothers cooking, you know what I'm saying, they got passed down. While we got passed down slave food like chitlins, you know what I'm saying?
They don't have any black men that can fly that virtual fighter plane. They got to get a white CIA guy to do it. And you don't see any black men doing a damn thing except in the background the spectators are pushing the cart. They got that guy with the big lip disc in who's some kind of preacher stand in. Yeah, they got that, but the mama runs things, the aunt runs things. His bodyguards are actually his keepers who tell him and nag him about what to do and not to do. And he walks around in some tights playing vigilante. Now, Killmonger, meanwhile, his daddy was the brother of the past king. And what was he doing? They listed him as being in some projects, public housing on the West Coast. And he's trying to teach these boys how to be men. So he gets killed because he wants to take the technology that Wakanda has, Wakanda has, whatever the hell the name is, and use it to subdue Africa and take over the whole world and impose peace. So he goes through MIT. He graduates at 19. He's a rocket scientist. He becomes a SEAL. He's so badass they give him the nickname Killmonger. He plans, plots, and gets his head together for revolution. He's supposed to be the bad guy, and they have him talking what Frederick Douglass said, Marcus Garvey said, Du Bois said, Malcolm X said, a little of what Martin said, what H. Rap Brown said, and they make him the villain. And they got all these little black kids and black women, hey, they're cheering for him to be put down. You know? So they make him the villain. And in the comic book, Killmonger is a person that engages in illicit drug sales and sex trafficking, where the Black Panther, who sounds like Killmonger in the comics, goes from Africa to Harlem to go deal with him because of his international influence negatively on black folks. They split the script all the way around. And then the final thing is, you know, when you have one of those Marvel movies, if you wait through the credits, you'll get more to the movie. And then finally, the Black Panther is telling all these white people in the UN that they're going to help them. And the guy says, excuse me, with due respect, sir, why in the world would we be interested in what some backwoods agricultural place has to offer us?
All right, I kind of feel
it. It's like that was predictable. And I'm so angry about one bad circumstance. Not so much that it was the highest grossing superhero movie of all time, but out of every city in America, the highest gross for box office came out of Memphis, Tennessee.
Wow.
The largest predominantly black city in America. Yeah. And they had folks buying up 25, 30, 50 tickets at a time for parties they organized 2 and 3 weeks in advance. And you can't even get them out to organize saving their own neighborhoods like that. So
yeah,
I'm saying, damn.
Now you throwing daggers. Now you throwing heat rocks.
He cooking.
Yeah. Cooking. Got the African American bunch once again bailed us out. See, that's how these folk got established more than 50 years ago. The movie industry was going bankrupt in the face of color TV. And every Thursday and Sunday, every movie theater in America had 2 new movies, plus cartoons and a sub-feature. And that made the studios come up with several hundred movies or productions a year. They couldn't afford it in the face of color TV. So they got a bright idea, and they had all these newbies who were part of this cabal that came in, and they said, look, let us pose something for you. One, instead of having 2 new movies every Thursday and Sunday, let's keep the movies as long as people will come, and let's tap all of this cash out there in underrepresented community. We want to deal with the black community. We call ourselves black then. So what did they do? Said, we're not going to give them all of these things we give white people because they can't see themselves being leaders and businessmen, all of this, that, and the other. We need to appeal to the lowest common denominator. So let them be caught up in our glorification of pimps, hoes, drug dealers, gangsters, robbers, murderers, burglars, and every kind of punk ass, whatever.
Yeah, he really cooking.
Think of and get all of their money. And then they had, Black Caesar, had a football player, Fred the Hammer Williams.
Hey, Black Caesar's a classic, though.
He was also a hit man, and he rides off into the sunrise.
Yeah, Black Caesar is a fucking classic, but he does make a point. He makes a serious point because you think about all these black exploitation movies that gave a lot of people chances to be actors, a lot of chances to get movies. They were very negative concepts of black people in themselves. Black Caesar, even though you had a superhero like Black Caesar, think about all the niggas that was around him. You had a superhero on Superfly, think of all the niggas that was around him. Even what was my man Goldie, the Mac, you know what I'm saying? He was a superhero, but he was a pimp too, though. You know what I'm saying? And all the niggas that was around him.
You answered your own question. If you ask one, the shit's called black exploitation. I mean, they tell you exactly what you're gonna get. The lowest common. You want to see pimps and hoes and razor blades, like nigga. Where's my money, Joe?
Yeah.
I'm so torn on that one, but I agree that shit is commercialized, is weaponized. So that's all black people
but
see.
That's all, and that's all other groups see though, too. That's the danger in that shit.
Right. So, and this goes back to the narrative. I was riffing like all year about Black Panther and how they didn't want to show, Disney didn't want you to see a black king. And a little bit of part of me after seeing the movie, I don't have that opinion as much, but I still kind of have that opinion a little bit. Like, nah, we're not gonna show, because like what he's talking is very true. I mean, Killmonger, the whole T'Challa family had been torn apart. I mean, the brother killed the brother, left the nephew to die, basically. Yeah. You know, just all this black trauma that happened at the highest form of the most powerful country in the nation. But it's so relatable to your average stupid black plight that can be totally prevented in day-to-day America.
And I gotta agree with what he said. You know, his handlers gotta tell him what to do. You know, Black Panther in the comics is for lack of a better term, that nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Don't nobody gotta fucking tell him how to say the day. He's got a mind that's on par with, or even better than, Tony Stark and Reed Richards. He's that dude himself. Nobody got to tell him. He's coming up with this technology himself. He's that guy. So they did flip it, and you know, even though I appreciated the movie, they've really did a disservice to that character, man.
So I can't say it's more or less not a disservice in that sense, where like, okay, they did make him less competent in the movies than actually the comics, because that nigga was Superman. You know what I'm saying? He was the black Superman. He was like Superman mixed with Bruce Wayne, mixed with Tony Stark's, all these motherfuckers in one. You know what I'm saying? The richest person on the planet Earth can scheme out of anything, can beat the brakes off of anybody. He was just a bad motherfucker in the comics. And in the MCU, he's still a bad motherfucker, but you gotta dial some of that shit back to make it realistic. You know what I'm saying?
Like, I don't think you need to, though.
Right? No, because
it's a comic book movie.
Yeah, we at a point in time where we can give a guy a serum, and now he's the most ultimate soldier. I think it'd have been if you made T'Challa comic book and you made him a 1-for-1 adaptation for movie. He's kind of OP, right? Like you. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's OP.
Yeah, if you tell me he's OP, I can agree with that. You know what I mean?
I'm about to say, like, how you gonna have some conflict if he's that OP though?
You know, but it works in the comics. It works in the comics. You know what I'm saying? You gotta make the villains that more dangerous. You know what I'm saying? You don't gotta dumb nobody down. You already got the manuscript in the comics. It works in the comics. He still has shit that could potentially. Namor is 2 times what he is in the movie. Dr. Doom is a sorcerer supreme and has the mind of Tony Stark. You know what I'm saying? So the threat is even bigger in the comics than it is in the MCU. So he's still he ain't too OP that a dagger can't kill him. You know what I'm saying?
True.
You know, a dagger wouldn't make it fucking 2 feet around him in the comics.
I mean, Namor done put paws on him, and Dr. Doom done put him in mad situations where he almost been enslaved. So, I mean,
I understand that, but like in similar in the comics, he was so OP that they had to put him in impossible positions. That you can some impossible positions you cannot tell in the MCU in a way where it's believable. Being totally honest, it's like you if you have a person that's that OP, then you have another motherfucker that comes in even more OP. You start raising the stakes over and over and over again to the point you got like what Super Saiyan 6. You know what I'm saying? Like what the fuck we gonna do with this? This nigga.
But I don't know.
Saiyan
I don't know though, Fresh. I don't know, Fresh, because these are still Earth-based like threats. It's not like Galactus or something. You know what I'm saying? These are people, and they machinations and the way they think about stuff and their motives and stuff is still very human. I feel like there's something that that would translate very well to like, the big screen. It's not so grand that I can't believe it. You got us looking at string theories and multiple, universes and variants and all this other stuff. Why can't I believe that,
But see, that's the thing. Hold on, think about that though. Think about that. All right. So the biggest, doubling back the previous episodes, the biggest villain before this phase was Thanos, right? The nigga had the embodiment of everything in life on his arm. You know what I'm saying? The embodiment of everything. Of course, that shit is too OP. So they dialed that shit way the fuck back. And the most he did with that shit really was snap. Half the people gone. You know what I mean? But like we seen the comics. This nigga had these motherfuckers. He had eternity. He had literally the living tribune, all these infinite eternal shits in the washing machine, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Handling these motherfuckers like they wasn't shit. You know what I'm saying? Playing ping pong with the motherfucking universe. You know what I'm saying? So you got to dial some of this shit back, bruh. And so like you can't have OP ass niggas in these shits when it's dealing with the MCU. So I understand, like, all right, this
I don't know. I just think it's. I think it's. I feel like. Carol Danvers is as powerful as she is in the comics. They didn't dial her back at all. It's certain characters that they do that shit with.
Now. Ms. Marvel was an agenda. We all know that was an agenda. You know what I'm saying? It was doing the woketivists behind pushing, like, you know what I'm saying, pushing women to the forefront of all these things, whatever, right? And she was supposed to be a beacon of that. So I understand why they made her how she was. You know what I mean?
I think that's what they did with Black Panther. I think that's why they put Shuri at the forefront. Hey, brother, I made this new item for you and this and that. And comic book T'Challa thinks of that shit while he's on fighting Galactus or beating the shit out of Silver Surfer. He can come up with machines and, you know what I'm saying? He's just a beast. You do that with certain characters, but you don't do it with other characters.
I kind of
did it with one though.
I kind of agree with both of y'all, really, because I don't want to see an overpowered Black Panther when he's clearly the top tier #1 guy in all of Marvel and nobody can touch him. I don't like how they kind of made him a tier under, just under Cap. At a minimum, he should have been equal with Cap on all levels, if not surpassing him. But I also agree that there is no, it's like the Superman syndrome. You know what I'm saying? There's only so many people you can realistically see Superman fighting. If you made Black Panther that tough, that strong, that critical without Namor and Dr. Doom existing, I just don't think it would have worked. I think it would have been boring. We looking at a guy that's just like he didn't need a squad. You know, you didn't even need to introduce the world of Wakanda if he can literally do everything. So I kind of, for movie's sake, I understand why he is what he is. That's all I'll say about it. for movie's sake. But
yeah, we know how he was in the comics, and if they do an animated series, how they're supposed to, they can show how he was in the comics as well. But for the MCU purposes, you can't pull all that shit in one person. You know what I'm saying? It didn't work for Ms. Marvel. You know what I'm saying? It didn't. You know what I mean? Her being at OP, you know what I'm saying? That shit didn't work. Being totally honest. But like the movies that if you watch the people truly enjoyed were the flawed characters that came out. The Captain Americas that like, yo, if he get shot in his head, that nigga's done. You know what I'm saying? Like we like that sense of like, damn, this nigga might actually die from this shit. He's just that dope to figure this shit out. Not no nigga that's, you know what I'm saying, like Sharon previously said, Superman, you know what the fuck is gonna happen with Superman at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Because he can't be stopped. You know what I'm saying?
The stakes, yeah.
No stakes, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, ain't no stakes because he's too strong.
Because both things can be true. Like I do, like Sherm said, and you said previously in another thing about how like they have minimized Black Panther and the character in the actual MCU when it comes to the psychological balance of like, you know what I'm saying, empowering people. But like, you know what I'm saying, it is a fucking fictional character. You know what I'm saying? It's not a real nigga. You know what I'm saying? We you know what I'm saying? So like,
I don't know about you, but T'Challa's real in my heart, Fresh.